My name is Jill Phillips, and I'm the creator of Whose Shoes, a popular approach to co-production. I was named as an HSJ 100 wildcard and want to help give a voice to others, talking about their ideas and experiences. I'll be chatting with people from all sorts of different perspectives, walking in their shoes. If you are interested in the future of healthcare and like to hear what other people think, or perhaps even contribute at some point, Whose Shoes Wildcard is for you. So today we have the huge privilege of walking in the shoes of my friend Joan Pons Laplana, or should I say running in his shoes. Joan is one of the most interesting JFDI people I know. We all want to support the NHS, but Joan adds fun and creativity so that we can all feel part of his adventures. Joan's just run the London Marathon. I felt as if I was there, Joe, every step of the way, but obviously I wasn't. You were dressed as a pint of Guinness, raising money for nurses. Congratulations, Joan, you did it. You're indeed a fellow wildcard. Thank you for joining me today, Joan, and can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what's important to you?
A bit about myself. Obviously, as you can hear by this accent, this is not a Yorkshire accent. I was born in Barcelona, Spain, a while ago. And from the beginning, I was very curious. I always used to explore. I loved to explore and making Legos and everything. And I was growing up. Then I also like to make a difference, to make things better, and that's why I was inclined. I used to love science. I used to love nature and everything, and then I decided to, by chance, to become something related with health, but I didn't know exactly what. But nursing basically chose me by pure chance. And then I became involved in nursing, and I did love that action. Also, I'm an action. I don't like the same things, and I found the place in A&E, and destiny again brought me to United Kingdom over 21 years ago. And really, since then, I've been trying to make a difference. I've been trying to turn also to become a rebel and to turn the NHS upside down, because I think the power, the structure of the power is in the wrong place. We should give more power to the front line and to the patients. And believe me, if we do that, I think that everything will be a lot smoother, and we will get the things right a lot quicker and a lot and a lot cheaper. That's my philosophy. And since then, I've been going into this journey, and I'm not anybody quite high up in the NHS, but social media and a lot of platforms have given me an opportunity to be more visible and to make nursing more visible, and I took fully advantage of also showcasing the NHS and the good things and sometimes the bad things, but trying always to bring some positivity, to trying to make it better and engaging. I love engaging with people and listening and stories. I learn. I'm a quite good storytelling, and that's who I am.
So already, and I think we're connecting in terms of, neither of us are in a position of positional power, but through social media and through the way that we kind of do things through storytelling and so on. That's what connects with people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've just read your book. I think it's fantastic that you've actually managed to put your story into a book, Destiny and Hope, and I really recommend it to people. But it's full of little stories, isn't it? Stories of ups and downs. And tell us a bit more about that.
But stories is what connects with everybody. When we were born, everybody loves to go to sleep with a good story. And also from history, from the beginning, that's how the knowledge was transmitted. From town, village to village, they used to come people telling stories and things. And that's why also the people learn more. The people don't learn reading PowerPoint presentations, or they like the stories, the human side of that. And I think that's very powerful to find these connections and these stories. And that's what I try to do onto this book. Is a serious book about my journey from living Barcelona and my ups and downs in the NHS. But I also try to give tips of what I did wrong, because I did a lot of things wrong. So what can we people who try to make change and be a rebel do it on a safer way, because I was a bit of a kamikaze sometimes, and I think also I was one of the pioneers of using social media and all that, and I just wanted to pass this knowledge, but also I wanted to be honest. I want to open my heart and to show that nursing is a very a beautiful profession, but it comes also with a price, and emotionally it can be very hard at sometimes, and basically that's the story, because then I got involved in politics where I talk about what trying to make the NHS better, and but also is to I want to show that I have no plan. I just walk my journey and take every day as it comes, and I grab every opportunity that comes to me with the arms. As I say, I'm very curious. I like to explore, and I like to see where it goes. I don't like to plan too much. Too much. I like to spontaneity and see where it goes. Sometimes it goes nowhere. A lot of times they can go somewhere. Like this weekend, I was in basically in every major television with my pint of beer. Um, it's how it goes, and I love that uncertainty sometimes, that that you make your way as you walk along.
So how did the pint of beer come around?
Well, basically, is obviously as a nurse, I did work on the front line. I was redeployed in the front line, and it was quite hard for me mentally. And I started running part of the treatment. My counselor said, "Why don't you run?" Because I try other ways of expressing my feelings and everything, and that didn't work. And then I started running, and then I got the place in the London Marathon, pure lottery, because I applied other times and everything, never got in. And I wanted, one of my bucket lists is to have a Guinness World Record. And but everything, I think it was fate. Everything come into one place, because also London Marathon was moved to October. October is a month that I normally raise money for Cavell Trust, who is very close to my heart, who help nurses going through hardship. And everything came into place, and I say, "Boy, I want to raise also visibility from Cavell Trust, but I want to celebrate the fantastic work that all the frontline have done. And what can be more iconic to run as a pint of beer to celebrate and say cheers to everybody who can see and raise a smile also. But I wanted also to tell the story behind and raise awareness of mental health, and also, as I say, increase visibility of Cavell Trust. And if any nurse or any frontline out there show me and then will get help, for me, that's mission accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jen, it's really inspirational in that I looked at the London Marathon, I got drawn into the whole thing. I saw your interview at the beginning. You've got the combination of properly promotional. You've got text cheers nurse to 70085, and it's just such an easy thing to do. If you're watching that and you're drawn into the story, people are busy, and you can think, I can just do that. So, the GoFundMe or whichever kind of big fundraising campaign, people have to actually log on, and, a different type of person,
Yeah.
probably your more serious supporters, but everybody can just, that cost of the pint of, wasn't it just a pint of Guinness? So the Guinness Book of Records, it's clever and
Yeah.
it's engaging. And of all the telephone boxes and all the rhinos and elephants and the wonderful costumes and the wonderful charities, and the reality is you're competing with all these different charities. So to come up with a truly compelling story that draws people in. And one thing I loved is, the whole idea of like clapping for the NHS. It's fine, but like if we really want to support the NHS, this is a really practical thing that people can do, and the power of social media to back that.
Yeah, in a way, was is a thing that I learned from my quality improvements and a lot of things that I've done. The key to succeed any project or any campaign is simplify it and make it fun. If you have
Yeah.
these two things together, I can guarantee they will be more successful, because people are very busy on their life. People get complicated, they're bombarded by emails and everything, but suddenly if you see something is fun, and also it don't take you more than one click, or don't take you to have a master's to be able to do it, people will be a lot more engaged and everything. And I discovered that when I was a quality improvement nurse, that I used to go to the wars, and everybody used to fuck me off and say, "Oh, I'm too busy now. I have 25 projects." Then I realized, well, if I make the project fun, and instead of trying to teach them during half an hour, if I do at 5 minute sessions of sepsis and everything, then and then I got their attention, and people wants to learn. I discovered is people want to learn and love. If they're having fun, they will remember you better, and they will open the door, and then that's when you can start engaging with them.
Yeah. And I've got a great story to tell you, actually, literally from this morning, and I think you'll be really chuffed with this. So, in terms of a future podcast guest, I've just been chatting with Jamie Waterall,
Okay.
Deputy Chief Nurse, really senior person, but equally engaging, caring, compassionate, wants to reach out beyond the data and draw people in. And I said I was chatting to you later this morning, and he said, oh yes, he said, I remember. And he pretty much told me, and I've just read the book, so I've just read the proper version of how you first had a bit of a kind of epiphany moment, I'd call it, in terms of this is what nursing is, in the ITU unit with the young
Yes.
man. So tell me that story, because obviously that had stayed with Jamie from years ago, and that's proving what you've just said, that people remember the stories and they therefore remember you and your message.
For me, there was a very powerful moment. Obviously, I never, when I was growing up, like a lot of youngsters, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know that I wanted to be some health related. Then I became a nurse. And then I was a bit young, and I used to love gadgets. But my focus, I went into A&E, and then I went to intensive care when I came to England. My focus was more on the gadgets and the IT, and I was for me it was fascinating, and play with them to see if I can make it better. The patient laying in the bed was there, but I didn't pay more attention until I discovered a very powerful moment with that patient who was in a cubicle, and he asked me to see if he could see through the window. And when somebody give me a challenge, I'm the kind of person who don't normally goes away and say no, I cannot do it. I always look. Is any way I can do it? And that grows in my mind. And then that challenge that patient that it was connected to a lot of tubes and drains and everything they gave me because he wanted to experience be seen outside because he was being in intensive care for quite a few months and he was depressed and he was not going anywhere. And then I did it. It took me nearly 3 hours to move all the equipment and everything, but I did it in secret. I closed all the doors, I closed all the windows and everything because I didn't want to ask anybody because I know the answer was going to be no. Because it's a lot of, I was going to break a lot of health and safety rules. But I thought, might always say, well, if that's the right thing for the patient, let's do it. If you break health and safety rule, if I can justify it, I will do it because that's the kind of things that I will do. Because unless you break rules, you never go anywhere. History is full of people breaking rules, and now we have a lot of rights, women rights, and all these other rights that otherwise we will still be in the Middle Ages. The moment that I put him on the window, I leave his bed and he looked outside. I sat with him. That moment, I still now have goosebumps. All my hairs has gone, all my
I
skin
can
is gone
see, yeah.
goosebumps. Um, that moment, I realized that the most powerful thing you can do is to make a difference to somebody, and to and to realize that I did that. That with my efforts and everything, I have made somebody else happier. I transformed the life of that patient, but also that patient transformed my life because that patient that wasn't that unit not going anywhere suddenly got better. And we didn't change the treatment. The only thing that changed is that I put him in front of the window. And the doctor said, "Oh, I don't know what happened, everything." I say, I know what happened. I put him, but I couldn't tell it because obviously I did it in secret. And and then when I say what I did, I was called by the matron. And the matron basically told me, Joe, you cannot do that. That's not safe and everything. You put everything. I say, but I say, I save. I gave that patient something that was missing. I gave that patient hope, and that hope is more powerful than any medicine. That patient visualized himself outside, and that moment decided that he wanted to be outside. And in less than a week, he went from intensive care to HDU and then to the ward. I never see the patient again. But also, what that patient did is transform my life because I discovered what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I wanted to try to have the same feeling, that feeling of euphoria that you go home, that you have make a difference to somebody. is the most powerful thing in the world. Unfortunately, sometimes there's a lot of barriers to be able to do that. And like any organization, NHS sometimes is quite strict. It's getting better and everything is because we have a lot of rebels now and we try to take over. But at that point, it was 20 years ago. It was quite unheard that somebody like me tried to break the rules and disobey was the command chain from top to below. But the problem is the matron asked me, Joe, don't do it again. And I told her, I'm always very honest, say, sorry, I cannot guarantee that. I said, what do you mean? Um, because if that means the patient will get better, I will break any health and safety rules, any other protocols, if that means that is the best for the patient. Say, if you do that, Joe, I will discipline you. Say, so be it. And a few years later, when I moved to A&E, my philosophy carry on, and I have a stronger belief that always patients should be first. I got sacked because also I disobey some of my managers, but I will do it again and again and again. I'd rather get in trouble for doing the best for my patient than not follow protocols and rules that that they're not doing the best interest for people.
So that literally gave me goosebumps as you were describing how hope, that word hope, and we all need hope in our lives, don't we? Without that, there is nothing. And the other thing is obvious, really, when I think about it, but just made me think about it as you were telling that story, is our mutual friend, so Jenny the M,
Yeah,
who climbed the ladder to
yeah,
write skin to skin across the theatre wall because people weren't listening. And she knew she was going to get into shed
yeah,
loads of trouble, and she did. But we need, like you say, we need those rebels. We need people with courage, and that's the word,
yeah.
who are prepared to. You're shaking, I think, in some of these situations because you know you're going to get into trouble, but with the vision of the patient, in Jenny's case, the mum, the importance of skin to skin in that first hour, it mattered so much to her, and clearly equally, to you and other rebels within this group. And I guess the other thing I was thinking is what a sense of community we've all got from linking up with each other,
Yeah.
sharing these stories and getting that kind of friendship and community and a bit more courage.
Yeah, that helped me a lot. That's why I love social media because initially I felt very isolated when I got sacked and everything. That was before social media started. And what
Yeah,
I discovered in social media is that I was not alone. The day that I discovered that there were more rebels in the system, and I discovered that through Helen Bevan and the NHS Change Day. When I went to
absolutely.
London, NHS Change Day, the first NHS Change Day, I did cry because I found my tribe. I found the people where I belong with the rebels. And then I start connection. And suddenly I started learning a lot and also how to survive in this environment because alone it's very difficult, but together we are all more powerful. And that also gave me more opportunity. And that's when also I managed to gain a lot of success with my ideas and my projects and everything. And I managed to break a lot of boundaries because I learned from other rebels how to survive, and that's also my legacy that I've done on this book. I'm trying to other people who come to want to be rebels how to survive on a system. The first thing they want to do if you're a rebel is to shoot you down.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a powerful thing to say, isn't it? The first thing they want to do to you as a rebel is shoot you down. And I think from my experience also, in terms of how I came to set up Who's Shoes, there's something around human nature that's not very nice sometimes, in terms of you see people either rising above their station or moving outside the box that you kind of define them by, then there can be a tendency not to be supportive. And I see a lot of people who, I guess like yourself, like Jenny, like many others, and probably myself really, that you kind of end up getting influential on a national stage, and people are really learning and supporting you in terms of what you're doing, and you're encouraging them to be more bold and so on. But sometimes that doesn't fit with your actual place of work, or
No,
that might be a difficult thing to talk about. You don't have to talk about that, but that's just a reflection on my
yeah,
part,
it's,
really.
it's difficult because to be a rebel, also you need a manager who allows you. You need a space. You need also the support. and that's quite difficult. And that is changing now. I discovered that to be a rebel also, you need to have a space, a safe space where you can try. And that's, I think, it's changing. And Leadership Academy in the NHS have done a lot of work to create leaders that allow this creativity. The best thing that you can allow is your staff to be creative. Because I always say, if you have a problem, the best person who you need to ask is the patient and the staff, because they live with that problem. And I'm sure that a lot of them, they have already the solution. You just need to create the space to try to have the solution. And a lot of managers, middle managers, the problem in middle managers is that they are like a sandwich. They have pressures from above because they have targets, and they have pressures from below because they need to deliver, and they have the staff. And the first thing, when you have in a lot of pressures, you go onto a safe mode. And safe mode is not to take risk. And what I'm asking, and I've done a lot of work and everything, is that managers, that's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is to allow and trust your staff to to do the job, and don't micromanage, and create that space that we can challenge the system and trying to find solutions. That's for me very, very important. Middle management, I think, is the key for the NHS. And there's a lot of variety, depend of a lot of truths that you go. Some truths they shoot you down, other truths are quite good. And yes, I had the luck, the ability that I've been able to move. And I've been to a very good trusts and other ones not so good. But I think we're getting there. But in the NHS is very risk adverse, because obviously we're playing with people's health and everything. And I always remember when I went to one of my projects, and the chief executive, I want to do this project, and I said, well, what happens if you go wrong? And I say, well, what happens if it goes right? Say, okay, what's the chances of going right? Say, well, I don't know, but can we carry on doing nothing? And they say, oh no, that's true, Joe. But what do you propose? I mean, at least if we do something, even if it is outside the box, we have the chance to succeed. But that makes chief executive and manager very nervous, because with everything that you try, there's also the possibility of failure. But for me, we need to break that stigma about failure. You cannot succeed without failure. It's impossible. Nobody anywhere in the world have succeed without failing and failing and failing again. But by failing, we need to learn and do, and then carry on and do it better. That's the only way. Is you learn that from walking, from child. The only way you can learn to walk is falling, same riding a bicycle. Unless you fall a lot of times, then then you don't ride a bike. And here in the NHS, pretending that we don't need to learn anything, we're just going to find the solution automatically, is impossible. You need to try and try again, and then you modify things, and then you get the right solution. That's why I love QRS systems and all quality improvement that I learned with Helen Bevan and Jackie Linton, that they had a big influence on me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been such an incredible network, and hasn't it? And the whole school for healthcare change agents and so on. It's been very special. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I learned a lot. I was one of the first. I was on the first cohort of the school for rebels at that point. They were calling me. I think they changed the name because obviously the stick for change agents is a bit more. People are more. Able to go. If you go to imagine, I want to be a rebel, they'd say, but if you say I want to be a change agent, it's a bit more, you have a license to change. That's a bit more commercial and better. But the spirit is still the same, is to show and to teach rebels how to make it better and how to survive on an environment that they're not ready for you to be a rebel.
And the whole, what is it, do it first and seek forgiveness. Yeah. It's a philosophy, isn't it? It's good fun.
And I do it. And as I say, by the time that you've done something, but I learned that you also need to get results, data. I used to hate maths at school, but now maths are my best friends, and I always gather the results and evidence, because I know that I'm going to get in trouble when I do some changes. But if I come back and say, hey, look, I changed that, but have a look at, we have reduced the level of infections by 2%, then the manager say, okay, carry on, Joe, carry on. But normally, because I was very frustrated, and because every time I wanted to do something different, I needed to go through a chain of command and meetings and meetings. And by the time that they come back to me, you can do it. It was 6 months down the line. And I said, but that's too late. I want to do it now. And then I realized, well, let's do it. I'll do it. And then when they call me because they realized that I was doing something, I say, yeah, I'm doing that. But I learned to protect myself. Have a look at the statistics. We managed to see more patients because we have reduced this, and this, and that also have saved me a lot of problems.
I think that's clever. I mean, I think sort of doing things within the system so you realise what's important to the system
Yeah.
and how to make the changes that you're making more palatable, more acceptable, and just give yourself that bit more license, I guess.
You need to learn the language. It's not the same talking to a manager, talking to somebody in the front line. The manager are more focused on make sure the levels of infections are down, make sure that you can length of stays are also shorted and improve things. The front line, they want to make a difference. And that means that always flexible. In my projects, when I talk to a manager, I talk to a different language. Same as I talk to nurses or I talk to doctors, they have a different language. And learning that language for me is quite powerful. It's called learning English or Spanish or anything. Every tribe, they have their own language, and you need to learn what motivates them to be able to engage with them, because you need all of us to engage on that project, because you cannot do that project alone. That's also that I learned very quickly, the language, to be able to the people who are on the fence and say, oh, I don't know what Joe is doing, to bring them with you, and then when they're with you, it's very powerful.
And I guess that's where, from my point of view, the kind of whose shoes approach comes in terms of looking at things from different perspectives. And, people think whose shoes is about putting yourself in the shoes of the person, of the patient. And of course it is. But it's not just that, because it's understanding what it's like to be the frontline staff. And we need people who, like yourself, are fired up to want to be part of that profession, to want to stay in the profession, to have the freedom to actually, you want people to get out of bed in the morning and kind of be wanting to come to work, to pick up and, to build on what they're doing and to make a difference to people. And similarly, you've got to live in the real world of, the data and the infection control and the statistics and so on. And when you can actually bring all those different perspectives together, that's when, through co-production, you find the solutions that actually work.
Yeah, that's what I found on my 20 years of nurse, that the only way that you can guarantee and increase of succeed exponentially is by co-production. Unless you co-produce with everybody, and then the chances of failing are quite high. And I always remember that data that Helen always told me. Every time that you do a quality improvement project, you have 70% of chances to fail. But with co-production, I think we are in the 30% that succeed. And that's why it's important. I always say that you need to involve patients and frontline. And sometimes a lot of managers, when they do quality improvement, they forget who they deliver and who's going to implement this project. And they think that they have the solution. But sometimes you need to, even if you believe that you have the solution, but your patients and your staff tells you otherwise, you need to trust them, because I always believe that they know better. I learned that when I was a community nurse. One day I was doing teaching a woman about diabetes, and I stopped and they, hang on a minute, how long have you been a diabetic? And say, I've been a diabetic 45 years, Joe. And I say, who am I to teach you about diabetes? You probably can tell me everything about diabetes. The problem that you have is not that you don't know about diabetes, it's something else that allows that your diabetes is not well controlled. And when I started having this conversation, she told me the reasons why she was missing some insulin, because that, and then we create a plan together how to improve. Wow, that worked. That lady didn't have any more hypos or hypers, and it was well controlled because I have empowered that lady to do what she wanted to do, and my advice to make it safe. And that's the role I think that the nurse needs to do. We don't need to tell people what to do. We need to empower them to make the right decision.
Well, I think that's great. We said we'd try and keep to about 30 minutes. I know we could talk all day, Joe. And to kind of bring the podcast almost full circle at the beginning, like literally at the beginning, you were talking about turning the NHS upside down and letting the patients and the frontline staff lead. And I think probably that's the key lemon light bulb, the key message from this session, would you say?
Yeah, I think that trust your patients, trust your staff, and have conversations. Engage with people, learn about other people. Be curious. Curiosity is one of the best drivers. And sometimes when we became adults, we try to kill curiosity. No, be curious. If you have one quality, explore. Be curious and learn. Never stop learning, because life is for me is very exciting when you learn new things.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Joe. That's been just so lovely to talk to you, and especially so soon after following you so closely on the London Marathon. Congratulations, and no doubt you've got plenty of more projects which you may not even know what they are yet, because I know you kind of take each minute as it comes, which is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jill.
Okay. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If so, please subscribe now to hear more of these fascinating conversations on your favourite podcast platform, and please leave a review. I tweet as Whose Shoes. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and let's hope that together we can make a difference.